Salve, Forth Paladins, and welcome back to another episode of Starfleet Command. Orion Pirates. I'm Lieutenant Commander Derek of the frigate HMS Inelucutable, as we continue our campaign against the Lyran Star Empire. And last time, well, we duked it out just a little bit here on the planet of 210 and ran into a shipyard assault, which is something that you generally don't send frigates against. So I'm going to do it again. We're heading up north anyway to go try and mess with the Lyran, so I figure we may as well peek in on the planet. If we can't actually penetrate it, we'll leave and we'll just keep heading north to one of our star bases on that border. But as long as we're passing through, well, we may as well say hi. And according to the fleet screen, the planet is a PL9, which is mostly undefended. It still has 8 phaser 3s, which could hurt us quite badly, but those have a maximum range of 3, so as long as we stay outside of the range, it can't touch us. However, actual ground force defenses are a G2C gunship, and nothing else so far, and today we are escorted by USS Jackson, a Federation, that's a Federation standard frigate. I think FFG. Frigate guided, because it has the additional missile launcher, and another FFG, USS Kiev. So, yeah, this frigate is in a little bit of trouble. A single G2 is... well, it's not amazing. He'll have 2 missile launchers and I think 2 phaser arrays and an anti-missile defense system. So their missiles probably are not going to get through, but other than that, well, he's probably going to get his face stomped in. Sorry, but he's just not going to be able to handle it. Let's increase our speed now that we've charged most of our weapon systems. The Hellbore is still spooling up. We have a slight graphical glitch that's occurring right here. This happens on occasion where the actual MFD icon will not charge up like the rest, but if you click on it, you can see it in its actual progress bar, and it is just about to be ready, and the glitch will go away the moment it's charged. Excellent. So we are fully charged and committed, ready to rock and or roll. Let's get the forward shield buffed up to the maximum level that we can, which I believe, it's 0.3 points of power. So not particularly effective. And according to scans, it is just the G2C. Unfortunate for him. However, even if we do manage to completely carve through him without any care in the world, this mission will still be a little bit difficult to accomplish. And the reason is we have a grand total of 6 Marines and a single transporter to use any time that we actually want to do it. So because of that, if things get a bit ugly, as they want to do, and I forgot to fire my phasers on that pass, unfortunately, because I had the Hellbore selected. But if things get a bit ugly, we're going to have to get a little bit of luck in order to actually take this planet. So, point blank range phaser fire. Let's see if he reacts. He did. Ooh, and one of our shields collapsed on us as well. So he's been badly damaged. We've been slightly damaged. According to the repair screen, however, our armor took the damage, so we're not in all that bad of shape. And it looks like his AMD is offline because that missile is tracking him. He is still fast. Oh, no, he's not still faster than that. This missile travels at a speed of 16, which is the same speed as his, so we're outrunning his missile group right now. But because of that shot, he's now having to spend an entire point of power to hold that missile at bay. And on frigates, a full point of power is huge. And when we pass in here to do a phaser run, we took another hit, and we've lost shield. Our tractor beam has been destroyed, and it looks like a couple of our labs are offline, but hopefully not a single Marine is dead. So here's the problem with taking the planet. The planet has 20 defenders on board. Now, the way that the game describes each one of these little Marine teams is each one is 5 men. So this breaks down a little bit when you consider that the planet is currently being held by 100 dudes. Seems a bit light, but hey, we're just going to roll with it. We have 6 dudes. We're going to attack this planet to reduce the number of dudes on it. So we will kill each one of these Marine teams bit by bit. The problem is there's a minimum value to which you can blast the planet, and that is 2. So we cannot get this planet lower than a defense of 2 until we start to send Marines over. We have but a single tractor beam. So our Marine will get sent over, and immediately it's going to roll to see who dies. If we kill somebody, we've got it, because... well, we've likely got it, because we'll have 6 chances to actually try and actually take the planet. If they kill us, we're going to have to continually do it again and again and again. And again, we only have 6 chances to make this work. So things get a little bit, iffy. I'm not quite sure if we're going to actually be able to handle this assault. We're going to certainly give it a shot, because it's worth a lot of prestige if we pull it off. But, this may not go well. So let's start to slow down now. We don't want to actually smash into the planet. The planets actually exist while you can travel flying through other spacecraft. Planets and asteroids, they will blow you up if you actually touch them. So we're going to get as close as we can without actually getting within range of these phaser 3s, and that's a distance of 3. So we're going to get to about 3.5, 3.3, just so that we're outside the actual range of the phasers themselves. So we can be aggressive and blast them into oblivion with our phasers, which we have 4, but they will not be able to reply. So within a range of 5 is a general decent-ish range for phaser 1s. Unfortunately, we only have phaser 2s, so we're going to have to get as close as we can. And it is... okay, I was a little bit worried about that it might be a range of 4, but it's not. It is 3. So just get a little bit closer. And stop. Perfect, 3.24. All of them select, engage. Now, as you can see, our Gatling phaser, which is possibly our most powerful weapon, did not fire. And the reason is, the Gatling phaser is basically 4 phaser 3s wrapped into a single mount. Think of it like, well, like a Gatling gun. So, being able to get in close to use that is not something that's going to be easy. We're probably going to have to destroy their actual ground installations before we can actually pull in close, because while it is only 8 phaser 3s, 8 phaser 3s against a frigate like us, yeah, we don't win that fight. So instead, we'll just sit here at the maximum speed of time and bombard the planet. The Federation FFGs are actually getting involved quite nicely. They've been bombarding it from long range with their photon torpedoes set to proximity mode, which are quite accurate. However, yeah, it's just going to take a while. I wish they still had missiles, although the 8 phaser 3s would probably stop that relatively quickly. But as you can see, the Federation FFGs cycling in and out, traveling towards, fire their photon torpedoes, and drifting away. The AI is somewhat paranoid when it comes to getting close to planets and board edges. And as you can see, we've already knocked them down by 3, by 4, by 5. Already, we are 1/4 of the way there. Well, actually, we're a little bit more than that, because we can only kill 18 of 20. We can't kill all 20. Oh, how much easier that would make planetary assaults if we could. So continuing to bombard the planet into oblivion, and the more damage that we do to this planet, eventually we'll start destroying these defensive arrays. If we can knock them all out, I'm going to pull within range to start using my Gatling phaser, because that will help accelerate the process. Gatling phasers firing 4 times can disable things very, very quickly. They're one of my favorite weapon systems to have on board as an auxiliary system. The other really cool thing about this ship, and I did mention it last time, our Gatling phaser is a 360-degree mount. This is not common, but this is highly desirable, because being able to shoot in 360 degrees with that thing makes it a fully offensive weapon. Most Gatling phasers you're going to run into, especially on other nation ships, not necessarily Hydrons, but on, say, Federation or, gosh, late Klingons, they will only have aft-firing Gatling phasers. Alright, so as you can see, we've knocked out every single one of their phaser arrays. We can now pull within a range of 3. That sets us up for our Gatling phaser to get involved as well. I'm going to wait just a little bit so that we can get all the phasers to cycle at the same time and blast away. And that drastically increases our firepower. The closer we get, the more damage we'll deal, except I'm a little bit paranoid myself about actually running into the planet. I actually did that way back in season, gosh, was it 4? Way back during the first Marak campaign. We've just finished one for season 13, or season 12, but the first Marak campaign that we did, way back, we had a carrier, and we were doing one of these missions exactly, it was a diplomatic delivery, perhaps? It was a mission where we had to play in close to a planet, and unfortunately, I stopped paying attention to what was going on, and we ran the ship right into the planet. It was very embarrassing, and blew up a fairly good ship. And so I don't like to repeat. Alright, we've got it down to 2, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wait for the system to cycle, because I have this, how do I describe this? Superstition, that if I shoot at the same time I send over, I've got a better chance of it happening. So I send over my person, and immediately he died. Because they get to roll more times than I do. So we're going to try that again, and we just got to hope that we can make it happen in the next 5. Send over our person, we got him. Okay, so it's 1-to-1 now. So he's still there, and he'll roll another time. I'm going to fire as soon as I can. Hopefully we'll get the upper hand and actually take the planet. They might kill each other, too. That is an option that we saw back in the last campaign. Did not happen, unfortunately. So now it's 1 versus nothing, and we've got 4 more Marines. Send in the Marines. Blasting away immediately, and the round was a dud. I'm going to send over my next dude as fast as I can. If I can gain an advantage, the odds of me succeeding are very high. We got 2-to-1. All right. Odds are we win. it is very much in our favor. So, 3 little frigates just went into a world and managed to conquer it. Alrighty, let's come about, because I don't actually want to hit that planet accidentally. Also gives us a good opportunity to check out our little triangle ship. Say hi, everybody, to the Inelecutable, which is a bit of a mouthful for a frigate. Alrighty, so we've taken it. The planet has been grabbed, although the question is, will the tile be taken? I didn't check to see what the Empire defense of the tile was. This ought to be interesting. Let us see. We will gain 495 prestige, which is quite nice. The tile did not flip. It has an Empire defense of 35. It used to be 40, it's now 35. We'd have to hang out here for a while to actually take it, and since we're not really fighting the Klingon Empire, I'm just going to ignore it. So we'll pop up over here, say hi to the shipyard just to see what's currently available. I believe we were looking for a Lord Bishop cruiser, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000. Wow. So this will be a little bit of a long run in order to get it, but this Lord Bishop cruiser, we've been in one before back in the first Hydron season. It's a really solid design. So something that we might want to consider. Although a couple of other ships that we could consider are something like a Ranger. A Ranger is a little bit heavier on the carrier. It's got 8 fighters as opposed to 3. It's designed to knock you down pretty badly. We get a Lord Commander with 6, although, while it is a bigger, more powerful ship, fewer fighters. So if we're looking for a little bit of a fighter-heavy approach, not quite as ideal to go into. Dragon cruisers are similar to the Lord Bishops, very heavy on the Hellbore, light on the fighters, and that's something pretty common you're going to see. I'm thinking we may go for a Ranger, just to do something different, and Hydrons are very much about using their fighter systems. The fact that our frigate does not have fighters is actually a bit of an outlier when it comes to most Hydron vessels. So I'm going to give myself a couple more Marines, and now that we have an idea of what we're going to get, let's dive into a fleet action. Yes, I definitely think we're going to go for the Ranger. So the Lord Bishop would be a solid thing, but it would be very typical standard Starfleet Command combat, very vanilla, as opposed to playing much more to the Hydron's strength, which is very much their fighter squadrons. Now, fighter squadrons can be very expensive to try and maintain. Good fighters cost a pretty penny. So that may be a little bit difficult, but if we're careful about things, if we play intelligently, we will gain a massive increase in firepower for, well, quite some time. Especially in the early era, a lot of your enemies are not going to be particularly well equipped with point defense systems, aside from their actual phasers themselves. So the sooner we get one of those Rangers, the better. So nothing on scope right now, and unfortunately no allies, despite the fact this is called a fleet action. So this may be a case where we will be running for the hills, as we may be running into a lot of enemies. Let's pick up the pace, see if we can't get up, not quite to maximum speed, but we're pretty close. And still not seeing anything just yet. So we're going to make for a break in the asteroids. After all, we don't want to fly into the asteroids. That would be very unfortunate. Like planets, they actually exist, and you can hit them. So we're going to slowly but surely slink through here. And I see a target. It is a single frigate at this point. Long-range scans from the fleet screen indicate it is an E4B. Let's launch a probe to find out exactly what it is we're dealing with ahead of time. We want to make sure that we're fully prepared for what we're about to do battle with. We will get the forward shield reinforced, and it does appear to be a fairly solid and reliable frigate. That's a missile launcher, 4 phaser 2s, 2 disruptors, and an anti-missile defense system. He's already fired his phasers from maximum range, but wasn't able to connect, which is excellent, and we're cutting it kind of close to these asteroids, and that's why these alerts are coming up. However, if we look top down, we should be fine. Let's just not turn into them. One strategy that we could use, and I'm not going to, but we could do it if we really wanted to, is we could grab him and try and run him into an asteroid. It's a bit dangerous, but it'd be pretty funny. I'm waiting for him to try and fire a missile. He did not, so I'm going to fire everything I've got into him, as we'll pass on through. Managed to cut through one of his shields. He also cut through one of mine. However, we blew out one of his phaser 2s and stunned a couple of other systems. Now, I can't show my stern to him anymore, which is a bit unfortunate, because if you want to really try and get away from somebody, you want to put them to your back so that you can run. However, if I'm aggressive about things, I might be able to hold on to his stern for a little while. These birds of prey style vessels, very, very nimble and maneuverable. Let's drop a mine right here, see if we can't discourage him wanting to stay too close to me. That'll also handle my missile problem, although unfortunately we got hit by our own mine and it took out our Gatling phaser. That is a critical ship component that we really, really need to keep intact. So we're going to open fire right there, slow down a little bit more since we don't really need the defense. And we're really close on top of him, which is quite dangerous because he does have a missile launcher. Now, it's only a slow missile. It can max out a speed of 16. Most ships can outrun it, but if we get too far, I mean, we don't have a whole heck of a lot of options of actually dealing with it. Come on, phasers. Cycle faster. I am very much used to the X-style phasers that are used much later in the game. They cycle every half turn, which means you can keep up a pretty blistering number of fires. But in the early era, things slow down a little bit more. It's very... You have to pace yourself very carefully. Because if you don't, well, you'll find yourself, as we're about to be, fired on by a missile. At least I would fire the missile. See if I can't get that Hellbore on target. He achieves to be charged and fired. Oh, unfortunately, the gunnery crews missed. That's going to be a pretty drastic negative because that Hellbore is a huge amount of our damage. And here comes the incoming fire.
Tractor beams ready.
Alright, I activated the tractor beams just for a moment, but now that we've shot down the missile, we can focus the rest of our firepower to actually see if we can't damage something on the Dire Slayer. We've taken out most of his phasers. He's down to a single one, although he does still have 2 disruptors. These disruptors, however, are limited to a forward-firing arc. Early-era disruptors really are a little bit more limited in what they can shoot at, but late-era disruptors, oh, they can have nearly half the ship fire arcs, which are insane. But as long as we can keep ourselves in this little corner pocket of his, there's not much he's going to be able to do to us. And as long as he maintains that speed, we've got ourselves pretty much a perfect turn going on here. He can't get away from what we're doing. And as you can see, our shields are coming back, our systems are reliable. In the meantime, we're just continuing to pound him with phaser fire. Phasers are one of the most reliable and useful weapons in the game, and he's down to a speed of 3. Most of his weapon systems are gone. He got 1 shot off with his phaser, but I think we got him pretty much dead to rights. So we're just going to keep the fire up. Got another Hellbore that's about to be ready, and the Hellbore tore him apart. So nice, simple, straightforward way of engaging if you're trying to play that sort of straight up close-in frigate fight. Get in behind your enemy, just stay latched onto there. We could try and play frigate fighting a little bit differently, pull back to a longer range, use our Hellbore in a more skirmishing style, but because a lot of the ships that we're currently fighting are not really designed to smash us at close range, there's really not a huge reason for us wanting to do that. You can get into a lot of situations, especially on the other side of the galaxy over here where plasma torpedoes are very prevalent, where getting anywhere near your opponent is nearly suicide. Luckily for us, the Lyrans and the Pirates and the Klingons, they don't have any system like that. So we can kind of be a bit more aggressive and on top of them. If we were fighting a plasma-armed race, we would very much fall back to a more skirmishing style. We'd keep at the edge of range, and we'd shell them with the Hellbore, which is one of the best weapons to do that with. Because the Hellbore will hit, if it hits a target, will damage all the shields slightly, but then circle all of its energy onto the weakest shield, even if that shield is down. So if you can just continually long-range bombard somebody with a Hellbore cannon, well, eventually you're going to kill them. Because even if they try and reinforce the shields like we do with our forward shields, the Hellbore's going to ignore it for the most part and go right after the weakest part of the ship. It's a fantastic weapon system for long-range skirmish play. Now, admittedly, with the Hellbore, when you're operating at its maximum range, you're not doing a ton of damage. You're only doing, and I'm actually opening up my little pamphlet here that comes with the game, for a Hellbore on normal, if you fire out to its maximum of a range of 40, it's got a 28% chance to hit, which is not fantastic, and it's only going to do 4 damage, which again, not fantastic. But 4 damage over the course of, say, an hour of blasting away, you can kill almost anything. And in fact, those Starducks, we possibly could have taken them up until the point that we had gotten in close to use the Hellbore. It just would have taken forever. So as you can see, we are fighting an enemy frigate. It is a Lyran frigate, so we're finally facing the main foes that will be ours during this campaign. Sending a probe just to find out exactly what's going on with him, what he's equipped with. It is an FLG, and I'm wondering, it is a single expanding sphere generator, 2 phaser 2s, and 4 phaser 3s. So his phaser 3 armament matches up with our Gatling phaser armament, although I would suspect those phaser 3s may not shoot towards the front. I forget, it's possible. But his 2 phaser 2s are outgunned by our 4 phaser 2s. His expanding sphere generator, however, can potentially deal 20 damage. Our Hellbore, that's a little bit optimistic for it. If we were to fire at point-blank range, we could do that. But at that point, well, things are going to get very ugly indeed. Now, the expanding sphere generator on board the ship will surround his ship in a bubble of energy, which he can use to literally smash our face. It is a very painful weapon system that we're probably going to greet very shortly. He's got a lot of energy in our forward ship. Wow. So we'll nail him with the Hellbore. The Hellbore was at quite close range on that one. And we managed to cycle through. He did drop a mine on top of us, which is very unfortunate because that knocks down a shield completely on us. He has an open shield because he had to drop shields to beam through it. But that's being very effective. And I'm going to slow down the speed of time and give him some of ours back. Ooh, is mine not capable of going that far? Come on, I can do it. It's because we're traveling slightly away. Well, I could try and respond in kind if I really wanted to try and focus on it, but I don't. Because I do not like that strategy at all. It's, well, we call it the most annoying strategy in the universe because it kind of is. So we're going to accelerate up to speed, and I think I'm going to focus on using the Hellbore for the most part. Let's get him to back off a little bit, and we'll drop a mine. That'll force him to not engage us quite as directly. We are a little bit lucky in fighting this. The standard version of the Lyran frigate would be equipped with disruptors as well. That would make our life a lot more difficult. But as it happens, his current weapon setup is not particularly amazing. So we are starting to come around to re-engage on him, and he may not have many more mines after that. I'll be interested to see if he dumps any more on us. He did manage to deal 20 damage, although we were able to split it across 2 separate shields, which was helpful. And that's his ESG going on. So we're going to maximum speed here. And as you can see, that's a bubble of energy that hurts. So if we get within range of this little disc here, well, it's actually a 2D representation of a full bubble around his ship. He is currently a giant glowing ping pong ball. And if he bounces into us, that's a lot of damage that he's going to deal. This weapon system was invented to take on fighters, to take on missiles. And while it can be very effective at doing that, it means that he has to pick whether or not he wants to use this shield as an offensive weapon or a defensive weapon. And right now he's trying to be offensive with it, but we have the speed and maneuverability to pull away. And now that he's lost it, we can go in hard. Because we know he's not going to have that back for a while. So we're going to turn right back in. We've got a good angle to come in on here. That should be an open shot, and point blank range, nailed him for 44 damage. So we waited for our opportunity, managed to avoid most of his attack, and then came in at the right moment to really stick it to him. So already, we've probably burned through all of his armor at this point. His ESG appears to be shocked. He might be repairing it, so it could be offline entirely. And if it is, that's a big problem for him, because when it comes to energy armament alone, well, we outgot him in terms of phasers. And while our Hellbore can match him, only at point-blank range, so we prefer not to try that. We're going to come back around. By the time we do get in a decent angle, all of our phasers should be ready to rock, and that should deal a decent amount of damage. We are trying to avoid this forward shield. It is pretty decently powerful. He was able to get it up to triple greens, which is pretty significant. And if we can pull within range, how close can I get? We're risking a little bit. Right there. Another 27 damage, just knifing in right on him. He's down to a speed of 4.5. Speed really is indicative of how much power you've got. If you're chugging along at that, it's probably because you can't go any faster. We've managed to knock out half of his weapon systems. I do think he's trying to fix the ESG at this point. He's not actually able to use it. He's got repair crews trying to patch it back together because it tends to break pretty quick. Also looks like he's missing a shuttle bay. So now that his ESG is back and we can see he's done repairing it, now he's trying to repair the phasers too, we do have to respect sort of the bubble limit a bit. That bubble can be projected out to a distance of 3, so if he wanted to, he could sort of turn that on and try and surprise us. Luckily, we were able to cut him to pieces before he could do that. But our first contact with the Lyrans, we all managed to make out quite nicely. He did a little bit of damage to us with the mine maneuver, but other than that, he wasn't able to cope. We were able to avoid his ESG and take care of him entirely, and that pushed our border influence forward. We are now touching their border with our own area of control. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to see a notification every time I listen to one of these videos, press that little bell icon, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next episode.